Welcome back. My next guest is my good friend Bruce Posner. He's going to catch me up on all things that are Terps. I was out last week on catching some rays down in Florida. Now I'm back, but I've been keeping up with the Terps, watching all the games. But Bruce, let's go back to the loss by the number one former number one men's lacrosse team in the Maryland Terps to Loyola. And you had mentioned you were worried about that game would be a benchmark game. Charlie Toomey's teams is always well prepared.
Well, first of all, Charlie Toomey definitely, along with Tillman, and a few others, the best in the business. And he took a beating last year. His squad took a beating that I think he had to live with for a year. Now, when you add to the fact that he's got a really good team and a great goalie, all right,
Yeah.
what happened at Loyola was no shock. And the fact the game was at Ridley Field, where Charlie is like 70 and 25. All right. So it wasn't like a shocker. But then again, when Maryland loses, Maryland hadn't lost a regular season game. Are you ready? In 1,000 days. Think about that.
That's insane. It really
Right.
is.
1,000 days they had lost a regular season game.
Yeah.
And Charlie threw out some of his super seniors, Cam Wires, and I forgot the other gentleman's name, but at close defense. And Maryland still won every faceoff. They won the ground balls, but they could not penetrate that defense. And it harkens me back to the year when Loyola beat Maryland for the national championship. It wasn't about their offense; it was about their defense.
Yeah.
And but what they did for Maryland that was good is they provided uh, a, a a vision of how you take down Maryland's defense. And the good thing about that for Maryland is it happened in the first game of the year or the second game of the year. So what does Tillman have to do? He's got talent. He's got people. Comes back, has a not an easy win, but a dominating win over Syracuse, which was supposed to be the team with Joey Spallina. They hold split. Brett Makar, we don't have to talk about him. He's the best. But Dennis, I will unveil something to you. All right. That is only for Turf Talk and the Dennis Kalacha show. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is my top 10 right now.
Okay.
Forget what everybody else says. Forget Inside Lacrosse and the media poll, because they don't give me a vote because they think I'm too Maryland biased. And I don't blame them because I probably am.
You are.
All right. But and the coaches poll, all right, which is probably the most unbiased poll. Here's my top 10. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Number 10 is Jacksonville. No, that's on the basis of the victory over Duke in overtime.
I like that.
They're 2-1.
They're coming.
Number 9 is Cornell. Why do I say that number 9? They're probably better than that, but not right now because they struggled with Albany, and Albany is just not a great team this year. Number 8 is Yale. All right. Yale is strong. They won their first game. Penn, first game, where do they go? Into Georgetown and win. That says a lot to me, and it catapults them to number 7 right away. Ohio State's 3-0. Their defense is suffocating. They held North Carolina to 5 goals. I don't think North Carolina is a great team, all right? But still, their offense, you can't fight it. They beat Johns Hopkins when Hopkins was 2-0, and at their best, it kind of turned that little thing that Hopkins was doing around. Number 5 is Notre Dame because of their great goalie and their easy win over Marquette, a very good team. Number 4 is Princeton. Princeton's 2-0, not too impressive of victories. And I can't rate Princeton over Maryland.
Nope.
Because last year, with similar teams for Princeton, Maryland won twice. And Princeton did something that I think they're going to pay for on Saturday. They might win the game, but they poked the bear last year. They went after Maryland's players. They went after Roman Pugliese. They tried to concuss Brett Makar at the end of a game that was over. I think there's something in there for Maryland in this game in a different aspect.
Okay.
Maryland's number 3. Why? Because in my opinion, all right, they lost to my number 1 team that we'll talk about later. And I'll explain why they're the number 1 team. and you know who they are, but maybe most people don't. Number 2 is UVA.
Yep.
UVA can't be number 1, and I'm going to tell you why. They gave up 21 goals to Harvard. Now, they won the game because they scored 25. But if you give up 21 goals to Harvard, you got some defensive problems. I haven't studied them, but there's problems there. And that leads me to the number 1 team in the country, and that's Loyola. And to not have them number 1 is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. They beat the number 1. They handled the number 1. Was it a fluke? No, because the next week they come in. Hopkins comes to town, 2-1, and it's 11-2 in the first half. It was never a game. Why? They got 2 super seniors in at close defense. All right. Close defense is where it's at, Dennis. You played lacrosse, you know that.
Oh, I was a crease defenseman, believe me. I know all about it.
Brett Makar held Joey Spallina to 1 goal.
Yeah.
All right. He could, and the 1 goal was one of the most spectacular shots I've ever seen. But I'm going to tell you what you missed when you were in Florida. And when you hang up with me, go to YouTube, because you probably saw it on Twitter, and that was the play by Dante Trader.
Oh, he was? I was going to talk to you.
He's on the ground, and they're punching him with the sticks. They're hitting him in the head.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
He gets up, and he runs 40 yards. Then he dodges 2 people, and he scores. Dante Trader hasn't played in 3 years. All right,
strong side bounce shot right past the goalie. 2 goals for the young man. I'm so happy for him.
3 defensive goals for Maryland against Syracuse. Yeah. Maryland their offense is a work in progress, but Daniel Kelly's been great, and we knew that. We knew that the C. Barkley Kelly Award winner is going to be a great offensive player, and Daniel Kelly he's got a great shot. Who's his dad? Brian Kelly, the coach of Calvert Hall.
Of course.
So what does that make him? It makes him cerebral. It makes him a really smart kid. All right, a really smart kid, and he will lead that offense. Now, look, to say, well, can he be Logan Wisnauskas? That's not fair. Logan Wisnauskas is one of the best offensive shots there's been in the game.
Yeah.
All right. So, but can Daniel Kelly go to that point? He's got 3 years. He's got 3 full seasons left, including this one. And he's surrounded by a couple freshmen on attack and Daniel Maltz, who's been playing fine, but they still got to work it out. They got so much offensive talent. Tillman keeps throwing guys in, trying different things, and everybody's good. So,
and they're going to be right there at the end, Bruce. That's the exciting part for me as a fan, is that the Terps are going to be right there at the tournament with a shot to win another natty.
Right, but the bottom line is this: this is not last year's team, and they even
not.
Listen, it's not even fair when you look at what Maryland had last year. Keegan Kahn, Jonathan Donville, Logan Wisnauskas, Anthony DeMaio. What do they all have in common? They were all 25, or 24 because of the COVID stuff. In other words, they were a different. It was like what was it?
Breed.
It was a coming of circumstances that played in John Tillman's favor. The fact that the Ivies didn't let their kids play lacrosse. So Donville comes to Maryland, all right? And Keegan Kahn had an extra year, and he knew he wasn't going to win a title with Villanova. And Anthony DeMaio can you imagine, he was on the 17 championship team and the 22 championship team.
That's crazy.
Now, how much is 22 minus 17?
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah. It's
5. All right?
5.
You go to college for 4 years.
5 calendar years, yes.
Right. So they had a real conglomeration of that fact going for them, along with 4 shorties who were unbelievable. Maryland's got work to do. All right. Yep. They'll lose a couple other games. They could even lose to Princeton. You got Princeton, Notre Dame, and Virginia in successive weeks. All right. 2 of them are on the road. And every one of them you destroyed last year. So do you think, well, Notre Dame they didn't destroy, but they got Notre Dame at home. But do you think everybody's gunning for Maryland? That's what Petramala told me before the Syracuse game. I was talking to him about how good Loyola is. He said, Bruce, Maryland's going to get the best play. And Gate thought they might win that game because they do have a lot of talent. And they
do.
also will be around by the end of the year.
They will. It's a good squad. Very well
Now let's
coached,
get to
right?
basketball. Let's get to basketball.
Oh, you
All right.
couldn't wait to get to basketball, could you?
Well, the team's doing great. They got a big game. Had a big game yesterday. They got a big game coming up on Sunday against Northwestern. It's a monster. Okay, a really, really big game. Third place could be on the line. Even second place, if you reach, could be on the line. But the play of Jameer Young. Now, Jameer Young missed the winning shot against Nebraska. All right, I don't know if they even had it on TV down in Florida, but he missed the winning shot against Nebraska, but he got the shot. In other words, everybody knew it was going to be him. He drove in, did a step back, had a 12-foot wide open shot. How many times does he miss that?
No, it happens, Bruce.
He missed it. Okay.
Yeah.
But listen, he had 16 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. The guy's the real deal. All right. And the real deal is our coach, Kevin Willard, because he basically took the same team that we had last year, and you added Patrick Emilion, who's been a big plus, and you add Jameer Young. Now, you say, well, you add Jameer Young, but you lose Fats Russell.
Right.
You remember how good Fats was down the end of the season.
He was very good. He was excellent.
Right. Now, he wasn't as good as Jameer Young. Let's be real. Jameer Young is a better player, but he's not that much better. And Kevin Willard has turned this into a team that's going to be in the NCAAs, and nobody would have thought that could have happened.
No. The last game that I saw the Terps play was the Purdue game, which I watched that from beginning to end, and it was the atmosphere.
You texted me the whole.
Oh my God! What a game that was, and we had a great feeling about that game. Coach Willard expected to win that game. We saw his post-game celebration, his speech, and whatnot. What an epic night for the Terps that was.
You know what the best question I've been asked all year was asked by you. All right, during that game, you asked me if I was at the game.
You know what? I took it for granted. To me, it was a given if you were at the game, but I wanted to confirm you were there. Like me, you travel, so you know what?
Yeah, no, but I also get back for the games. All right, to a point. All right.
I know, but you have family obligation. You have all those beautiful grandchildren, so
right.
I was just wanted to make sure you were there. I was very happy for you that you were, in fact.
And it was
soaking up that atmosphere. My God, what about the fans? Right, the student section. It was just it was deafening loud on TV.
Well, between that and between the loss to Loyola and the victory to over Syracuse, TerpTalk.com, Dennis, you ready? Over 15,000 views.
Wow, that's amazing.
In a week. All right, in a week. Wayne does such a good job with that. TerpTalk.com, 15,000 views, and just some unbelievable stuff. If you missed anything, all you gotta do is go there and you'll catch up. And I've had so many people in lacrosse say to me, when after the Maryland game is over and they're doing another game, the media, where do they go to get a real summary of the game, Dennis? You know where? The post game.
TerpTalk.com, baby. Hey, and what about the recruiting class, right? I saw the kid from St. Francis the other night put up 57.
Lamar, Jonathan Lamoth.
My goodness.
He had 16 threes. He's coming next year, and he's not the best guy coming.
I know, that's crazy, right? They have a great class coming in.
When you score 57 points against nobody, it's pretty good. All right.
He hit 16, top of my head, 16 3-pointers, I think.
16 3-pointers.
No overtime either, right? Just regulation. Didn't have like a double overtime game, but 3 16-pointers. If there's an area that the Terps have been weak in, is 3-pointers.
Well, if that's the case, and he translates that to college, look out next year. But we're not worried about next year because this year's in play.
Right. I hear you. Well, I'm just saying, I'm just very excited about the Terps' future. Like you said, he's not even the highest rated recruit coming to Maryland next year.
No, he's definitely not. They have a couple more, and then in
class. Ooh.
And something else to tell you in 2024. Some guys win a national championship and they go, they get drunk every night and they do this, they do that, they celebrate not John Tillman. He went recruiting the next day.
The next day, right? Baby. Yep, that's what's
Listen,
up.
For 2024, not next year, but in 2 years. You ready? Number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. 4 best kids from Baltimore and DC are coming to Maryland.
That's
right?
amazing.
The top 4. So he's done the job. And the Lady Terps, we got to talk about Brenda. Come
Come on,
on.
bring
They
it.
play Iowa last night. I should have told you to look it up before we came on. Iowa beat them 96-82, and at one point in Iowa, they were up by 40. Caitlin Clark had 42 points, and their center had 27. That was last game. Last night, Maryland at halftime was up 44-28.
Mm,
They played the best first half of basketball, I believe, that I've ever seen them play. And it was from the bench, too. Two girls came off the bench, uh, Alexander and number three. I don't, their names aren't in your mouth like Diamond Miller
right.
and Cheyenne Sellers because they don't start and they don't have games like this. But you know what? They had a game like that last night, and it was almost unbelievable. All right, how they played. They in the first half or the overall, they shot 10 for 20 from the 3-point line. They outscored Iowa. And remember, like the number 5 team in the country, they outscored that. Well, Maryland's number 6, but they outscored Iowa. You ready? 27-8
Mm.
in the second period, and they held the best player in the country, Caitlin Clark, to 8 points until she picked up 10 in garbage time. She had 18 points, but she had 8 points for the whole game. Brenda, when let me tell you something, Dennis. When you hear people say that Brenda's not a great coach, we all know she's a great recruiter. Laugh at them, all right? Because she's not a good coach. She's an unbelievable coach.
Oh, absolutely. I've never, I haven't heard that, but not in my circles anyway. But
Well, you know why? Because there have been a lot of Final Fours and only have one natty, all
okay.
right? Which is
But
what they
again,
said about Tillman, which now he's been in 7 Final Fours. He has 9 Final Fours and has 2 natties and one with the greatest team in the history of lacrosse. So uh people think it's easy to get to a Final Four. And Dennis, when you get to a Final Four, are there any upsets really? You
no.
know what I mean? Cannot any one of the 4 teams win a national
Oh,
championship?
absolutely,
Whether
absolutely.
it's lacrosse or
You
basketball,
need momentum, you need health, you need luck. There's a lot of elements that go into winning any kind of a championship.
right? So
Coaching is a part of it, but it's not all of it.
all right, can I do 2 minutes to the Ravens? I know you got to move on.
Sure,
So here we go.
I have time.
I'm watching so much about Lamar, and it's amazing how the players are so much behind him and taking it out on the Ravens like it's the Ravens' fault
Well, they have
100%.
to be. They have to. They have to. You can't.
Players look out for players.
You have to. I mean, that's natural, right? They can't go against the grain. Even if they don't agree with it publicly, they have to say, "Hey, I support my guy."
Yeah, well, I don't understand that, but I do know one thing: the effect on Bishotti. I don't think it's too much. All right, I don't think he hears it. I don't even think he looks at it.
No, he
All
does.
right,
Steve Bisciotti is a very image conscious owner. Somebody said, "Well, he's not that image conscious. He welcomed back Ray Rice with open arms." And they say he did until the video came out, right? So, uh, the all this posturing, the all the media stuff, all Instagram, Twitter posts. This is where Lamar Jackson could have used an agent to represent him. Um, I think he's made some mistakes along the way, and look, this thing is going to play out the way it's supposed to. You saw the Todd Monken press conference, which
he
I
said
thought
he could come in the last week; it'll be fine. That's what he
you know
said.
what, he handled it perfectly. He gave perfect answers. He said, "Look, look, he'll catch up. It's football, right? It's not rocket science." But he didn't take the job thinking that it was a guarantee that Lamar Jackson would be his quarterback. He took the job because the Ravens are a premier organization. It's a premier franchise. So why wouldn't he? And he also mentioned defense, right? When is the last time you heard an offensive coordinator talk about the defense? And because he understands football is a complementary game, you need all elements, right?
Well, he was
He'd
involved
love
with
to have
the.
Lamar Jackson, but you know what? He's ready. He's going to coach whoever's there.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and his success is just unbelievable. What he's done at
Yeah.
Georgia
So
is
whether it's Lamar Jackson, Taylor Heineke, C.J. Stroud, they're going to be fine, and we know this as Ravens analysts and fans. We know they're going to be fine, and so is
all right.
Lamar Jackson for that. Yeah.
One last question I'll ask you. Okay, do you believe? This is my opinion strictly. Why haven't there been offers for Lamar? All right. Why Does it seem like
from other teams?
Wait a minute, let me finish.
Okay.
You don't hear other teams saying, I'm going to do this, this, and this to get Lamar. The Jets want to get Aaron Rodgers before they talk to Lamar. What kind of thinking is that? Aaron Rodgers is 38 years old. Lamar's 26. Lamar if you think Lamar is great, all right, why in the world would you want a 38-year-old before you want Lamar? Because they don't think that he's great. They think that Aaron Rodgers is better. All right. And I'm concerned that the Ravens are not going to get what they want for Lamar. I don't think you're going to see 3 firsts like you did for Russell Wilson. As much as Deshaun Watson ruined it with the guaranteed money, I think Russell Wilson ruined it with 3 firsts. I think the price or the value is dropping. All right, just because of the failure of some of these $160 million quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Can we call Kyler Murray a success? Can we call Baker Mayfield the first pick a success? Of course not. All right. And I think that's going to affect the whole situation. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I do think you're right in the sense that the Kyler Murray, the Russell Wilson contracts have given owners a chance to hit the pause button. Even Deshaun Watson, Bruce, his cap number is going to be $55 million a year for the next 4 years, which is insane, right? Maybe 5 years. I've got to go back and look at it, but they're going to be in cap hell for a long, long time. And Deshaun Watson better win in Cleveland. And with that organization, it's not a guarantee. So Lamar took a chance. I think it's going to backfire on him. Now, in terms of Aaron Rodgers, and let's keep in mind Carr's out there, and so is Garoppolo. You mentioned Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield did well in Cleveland under Todd Monken, and you said had we picked up Baker last year for the playoff run, maybe the Ravens would have gotten deeper into the playoffs, right? So
I agree.
The Ravens have liked Baker. Look, his personality isn't great for you and I, but he can win. He was 1-1 in the draft, and you know what? He'll be a lot cheaper option. This thing is fascinating, but I do think there's a lot of misinformation put out by teams right now as they posture. And keep in mind, we have 2 weeks to go, and this thing is going to play out the way it's supposed to. But I think the Ravens are going to be fine, but I think that maybe Lamar just he should have taken whatever they offered him.
You think the Ravens are I'm not going to say scared, but you could lose Lamar and you could take a deep dive into mediocrity. And I'll tell you what, had they not signed Roquan Smith, all right, it would have been gloom and doom in Ravens world.
I don't disagree. Now look at Patrick Queen, right? Patrick Queen with John with a fan a couple of weeks ago. He goes dark next. He wants a different contract. And again, these young men need to stay off of social media. They need to stop engaging with fans who are knocking their game, stop being vulgar, etc., and just rely on their agents to do their work for them. But I don't think the Ravens are scared. They have a great defense, great special teams, great coaching, great front office, and they know that they can win with the right quarterback. And it may be a guy like Baker Mayfield, which wouldn't scare me, by the way.
Do you think the Ravens in their state right now, and this is all conjecture, would still give that same offer to Lamar Jackson that they gave him? $250 with $133 guaranteed.
Probably. But again, if he's
I do too. I do too. And I think they might move it to 150 or 160.
But if he's dead set on a Deshaun Watson contract, you know what? He's not going to get it from the Ravens. I don't believe he's going to get that from any team in the league either. Because buyers beware, right? The owners aren't stupid. There was only one stupid owner in the league last year, and that was the guy Browns. Up there with the Browns. The other 31 teams are not going to. You've got to be out of your mind to guarantee a player that kind of money. He gets hurt, you're done. That you're done for 4 or 5 years, Bruce. They can't afford to do that. So the 133 to me, whether it's 133, 150, seems proper for Lamar Jackson. And here's the other question we don't know as fans, right? We think it's a given that if we get him a great wide receiver like an A.J. Brown, he's going to shine. We don't know that. He may, but again, what happens if you invest in him You get him wide receivers, and he still
Wait a
can't make the
minute, but
throws.
you always take that risk. You always do when
Yeah,
the unknown.
but we don't know. But you don't know that. But you'll take that risk at 133 guaranteed, but you're not going to take that risk at 231.
Well, if I was Lamar and they hired a offensive coordinator like Todd Monken, and you look at his history of being, look what he did with Stetson Bennett. Yeah, you don't even hear Stetson Bennett's name. That
You hear it now
he might
because
not get drafted. Could he
he
not get drafted?
he's going to be a Raven. He's going to get drafted by the Ravens in the 6th round. Because you know what, the Ravens aren't going to risk him becoming an undrafted free agent. They're going to grab Stetson Bennett because of who? Todd Monken. And why wouldn't they? You got a 25-year-old guy, a man, right? He's a man child, right? He's 5'11", whatever, but he'll know the offense, Bruce. And you'll have Stetson Bennett as the backup on a Baltimore Ravens team in 2023. You can write that down. It's not a stretch to say that.
No, I agree, but I think that you said it last week that DUI did not help his status.
But so
All right.
what? You know what? They're going to put him. He's going to be on the Ravens squad this spring. He'll be Lamar may not be at the OTA, but Stetson Bennett will.
Okay. Okay. Well, look.
And the other piece is, does Lamar want to be in Baltimore? That's the other piece. Does he want to be here? And that to me, that's what it comes down to.
I think the guy is loved in Baltimore. I know a lot of people now are jumping off the ship.
Well, the Ravens love him. The organization loves him, but at what? The right price, just like any player. No different.
But all this stuff, listen, all this stuff about him not playing and with a knee brace and all that stuff. You know what? That's in the past. You can't deal with that. You got to move forward. How many years did Dak Prescott miss? All right.
I'm with you. They will love to have him, like you said, at the 133 guaranteed, not at 231. The question is, does Lamar want to be in Baltimore? That's what if he wants to be in Baltimore, the agent Lamar Jackson will work it out for the player Lamar Jackson. If he doesn't want to be in Baltimore anymore, Bruce, there's nothing they can do short of giving him 231 guaranteed.
Well, I think the real problem is not that Baltimore hasn't given him the weapons, because Lamar has a confidence level where he feels he can win at any level. It's just they haven't given him any guarantee. Well, and look, it's all about the guarantee. The 250, that doesn't mean anything. It's the guarantee.
Right. But we did see Patrick Mahomes with a bunch of no-name wide receivers. He was able to elevate that squad. He's probably the only quarterback in the league that can do that, though, in all fairness. Lamar Jackson couldn't win with that offense. He couldn't. Whereas Patrick Mahomes in the Ravens offense, he would light it up. Even with guys like James Prochet and Tylan Wallace, whoever else that want to roll out.
Well, Mahomes, it's not fair. He's the exception. He's the best.
He is exceptional. But again, it boils down to, does Lamar Jackson want to be in Baltimore? If he wants to be here, he'll sign the contract.
Yeah,
maybe he gets his feelings hurt. Like you said, maybe the offers aren't what he thinks they're going to be. Because let's keep in mind, he's missed the last 2 Decembers. He hasn't been on the field. We can't ignore that fact.
No, we can't. But I want to say one thing. Lamar Jackson lost to Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. What, twice? What happened when Patrick Mahomes came to Baltimore?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, in other words, it's about, do you have the home field advantage? Do you have, have that thing going for you?
It helps.
Patrick Mahomes has proven himself. Three Super Bowls in 4 years. And I don't care if they would have lost the game. I don't even care about that.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. He is head and shoulders the best quarterback in the league. Long slide. I can't even tell you who number 2 is, but there's a long slide to number 2.
Right. To talk about Burrow and him in the same breath is ridiculous.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay. Not at all. But back to Lamar. This is fascinating here for Baltimore. This is it's a wild situation. We'll talk a lot more about it before it's done. But to me, the key piece aren't the Ravens. The key piece is Lamar Jackson. Does he want to be in Baltimore?
Dennis, look, all people want to talk to me about is Lamar. All right? I mean, that's it. Now that Maryland basketball's hot, that's the subject. But it's Lamar, no matter where I go. And it's the same thing with you. I know it. In other words, Lamar Jackson has consumed how much of our time over the past year?
A lot. All right? Look, when people ask me, what do I think? I tell them, would I love Lamar Jackson, Baltimore? Absolutely. At the right price, though. I'm a Ravens fan, and I'm also a Lamar fan, and I think that's what's happening. I think there's a faction of Lamar fans versus Ravens fans.
Well, the best picture that I ever remember is when we won the Super Bowl with Flacco, and he got his big contract, and they took a team picture on the internet or whatever, and it was Flacco on the bench by himself. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, because according to the Ravens, they couldn't sign anybody, which I don't believe. And Flacco only, what did he sign for? 20 million?
For what?
Was it more?
No,
What was his
it
contract?
was 6 years for 120 million,
Right.
and it wasn't a guaranteed deal. I think half of it was guaranteed. I believe. I don't think it was all guaranteed.
That's like third string material, second string
Well,
material now.
nowadays, yeah,
And
but
what's it going to be? Hey, what's the guarantee of 150 going to be in 2 years when all of a sudden you got Amazon and Google and
well,
you every game you got to buy? You
see,
know what I
I
mean?
think there's a way to play this thing, and this is again when you need an agent. I think they should. I think you're going to see it happen soon, Bruce. Sooner rather than later, particularly with a guy like Patrick Mahomes. They're going to tie some smart owner, some smart GM. They're going to tie a player's money, quarterback's money to the salary cap. They're going to give him a percentage of the cap. So as the cap goes up, his money's going to go up proportionally, and that way you stay competitive every year.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know what, the best news that we could hear is if we could get a headline today: Lamar hires Drew Rosenhaus or another agent, to negotiate
I
for him.
don't know why he hasn't done it, Bruce. I mean,
Because I
seriously.
think I think if he had an agent, I think the agent would push that guarantee way up. I really believe that, and this whole thing would have
It
been over
wouldn't
with.
hurt. It wouldn't hurt. The agent would, he's tied in with people in the league. He's going to put out misinformation. He's going to have teams bid against themselves, right, without even knowing it. That's what a veteran agent does. And I don't think Lamar Jackson's intent is to save the 3% fee of an agent. I just think he's a different cat, and this is how he approaches things. But unlike Raquan Smith, where his contract was only 100 million, and I'm saying only
Only
tongue in cheek,
is
you're
he not
talking.
the highest paid linebacker ever?
He is for his position, yes.
And he negotiated himself.
He did, but that's the market for the guy. If the Ravens didn't give him that contract, somebody else would.
No,
And you know
no,
what? The other piece is he lived up to it. His best football, Bruce, is ahead of him.
right, right. No, I agree. You know what? It's a very, very good
And
point.
and and also his contract is not guaranteed either. I think it's 45 to 60. I think the whatever the distinction is there, but even with that big contract, it's not all guaranteed money, Bruce. So the team has some relief in God forbid in the case that he gets hurt.
Yes, maybe there's clauses where he is covered. We don't know about that, but all I can tell you is this: it was the best signing.
Oh, it
I
was
think.
phenomenal signing.
I think it was not a franchise saving signing, but a stay on top of the game signing
Oh,
when they signed Roquan.
It
There's no
also
doubt
made
about
it
it.
also made Patrick Queen expendable too. You can't sign two middle linebackers with that for that kind of a contract. And now
So you
Patrick
think
is.
he's gone?
I do. I really do.
How much we have him under control for one more year?
I think it's 2 more years. But he
So
wants.
can we tag him? We can't tag him. We only tag one player, right?
Yeah, but it's too early. I think he has 2 more years because he was a first round draft pick. He just
Right.
finished year three, so they control his rights for year 4 and 5. Look, they may get a second round draft pick out of him and just
Look,
move on from him. They may.
many guys played besides Ray Lewis and got huge contracts and moved on. And what happened when Ray Lewis wasn't around? All
Correct.
right. Were they superstars still?
No.
Maybe Adelius Thomas,
Right,
but
right. But
outside of him,
it doesn't. I mean, look, I like Patrick Queen. I think he shined, but I do think, like you just mentioned, that was a benefit, a byproduct of having Roquan Smith there, getting attention from the other team's offense, right? Their guards, their tight ends, their running backs. So, would I like to keep Patrick Queen? Absolutely, but if he wants a contract now, they're going to move on for him, particularly with his social media presence and him going after fans.
yeah.
I mean, he
Well,
doesn't need to explain to fans why he missed a tackle
I don't
or
know
it
why he
wasn't his
talks
fault.
to him. I mean, I don't know why
I
he
don't even know
talks
why
to
you
him.
engage. Yeah, I agree with you. Anything, talk to them about playing against them on PlayStation or whatever. Talk about other things, but breaking down game film and telling him, whose assignment it wasn't his fault that the guy got by him. Come on, Bruce. I know he's a young man, but you got to grow up at some point. Stay off of social media. Handle your
Yeah,
business.
no, I think
I
in the long run, he only hurts himself when he does that. Okay, because well, maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's a whole ploy to get another team or go to another team.
well,
Look
the
at his.
Ravens and the Ravens have shown, right, that if you don't want to be here, they'll move on from you and they'll get good value for you too.
I will tell you one thing. I don't know if they would have done that with Roquan Smith. I think Roquan Smith is so crucial to this franchise, his signing, that Dennis Kalatzis went out and got a
Got a
number
jersey.
18 jersey. All right. And
Well, Well,
It'll still-
what's there not to like about him, Bruce? He's healthy. He's young. He speaks well. He smiles off the field. He's
He's a
engaged with the
leader.
community.
He's a
He's a
leader.
leader. I have
Makes
seen
everybody better
I have
around
seen
him.
zero flaws with him on and off the field so far. He's that good of a person, that good of a player. And that's why they went all in on him right away without hesitation. Didn't even bat an eye because he did it the right way. And he also didn't try to hold them up for guaranteed money. That's the other piece.
And you know the other thing that got me? All right, I was at the Steeler game in Baltimore when he got beat. All right, by the running back
That was a hell of a play. Najee
on a
Harris,
perfect play
that was a hell of a play.
by
It
Kenny
happens.
Pickett, and I said to myself,
It happens.
"You don't blame Roquan for that.
It
You
happens.
give Kenny Pickett credit for
Credit.
that play, and say to yourselves, the Steelers have themselves a quarterback."
It
All
was a
right?
bang play. Look, Pickett may never shine like that again, but in that situation, in that moment, he stepped up. The play was extended. He extended it with his legs. He found Najee. It was a hell of a play. It really was.
Yes, it was. And with that, I
With
guess
that,
my time is up.
our time is up, Bruce. Unfortunately,
20 minutes over.
I can talk to you forever. You're a great man. We follow you at turftalk.com. We encourage everybody else to do the same.
All right. Thank you, my friend. And Coons Ford still my go-to, and just the service. I always talk about the service department.
Oh, and
it's
it's
just
getting
so
better,
special.
Bruce. It's getting better. It's getting better. I'm telling you, we're shining down there.
That is so great that it's unbelievable. Dennis, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And remember, everybody, Dennis is on my show either Wednesday or Saturday every week, and he was on yesterday and did a great job.
Yep, you got it, Bruce. I appreciate it. So there you go, Bruce Posner here on 1570 AM. WNST will take a quick break and come back right after this.